morning. This is Mike Devin with Insurance Network America. Just wanted to welcome everybody that's signing in right now. We'll go a couple more minutes. My clock says it's 9:58, and we still have people feverishly logging in. So we'll just hold for a little bit more here and see how we do. Thank you for attending today. Good morning, everyone, to Insurance Network and our webinar about Trustmark Simplified Underwriting. It is straight up 10 o'clock on my computer right now, but I am seeing people coming in like crazy. How about if we give about one more minute and then we'll start the webinar? So just give us another minute and then we'll get her started. Thank you so much for your patience. Well, again, good morning to most of you and good afternoon to the rest. I want to thank you for attending today's Trustmark GRX Underwriting webinar. We're very excited to have you here today. Today, your phones will be muted in order to keep out any distractions during the webinar. We will take a few questions at the end. So if you have a question, I ask that you type it in your chat box. And if we have more questions than we have time for, we will answer them all via email, I promise. This presentation is being recorded and it will be placed on Insurance Network America's website for your review at your convenience at a later time. And we will give you our web address at the end of this presentation, so don't panic about getting that down. I want to thank all of you who are attending today. No doubt we are living in some crazy times, and I hope all of you are keeping healthy. If you are someone who does not know about Insurance Network America, I want to welcome you. We are a general agent located in Boise, Idaho, and we work with agents all across the United States. We offer group major medical, ancillary, worksite products such as critical illness and cancer plans, and we also have individual life and annuity products as well. Today, we will be introducing a fantastic program with Trustmark, one of our most trusted and longest partnerships, as they were the first carrier we contracted with over 30 years ago. I'd now like to introduce today's presenter. He is the Senior Account Executive for Trustmark, and he is tasked with keeping all of their general agents happy. He brings with him a wealth of industry knowledge, and he redefines the word loyal as he has been with Trustmark for 38 years. Congratulations and welcome, George Michelik.
Thanks, Mike. Good morning, everyone, and thanks to you, Mike, and INA for hosting this webinar. I want to also duplicate what Mike said. I hope everyone is well and safe in these in these different times that we're living in. You know, INA, like Mike said, has been a partner with Trustmark for over 30 years. And I appreciate them giving me this opportunity to talk about our exciting new simplified underwriting option for clients with 51 to 99 enrolled lives. The method uses RX data, and it was introduced back in December. And to tell you the truth, it's been a game changer. Agents and brokers have embraced the concept, and sales have been tremendous. I will show you some sales data later in this presentation. I plan on spending about a half hour going through a high-level overview of the process and requirements, but please contact your INA benefit specialist for more details. They are the experts when it comes to Trustmark's underwriting processes and medical products. So let me begin by giving a brief background on why we introduced this expedited underwriting procedure. So again, we announced it in December, and it's for groups with 51 to 99 enrolled lives. We work with a vendor that evaluates GRX data. We were looking to increase sales in this market, and early results have seen the average group size for Trustmark's business go from 15 to 27 lives, so almost double. With our simplified underwriting, groups can be issued and onboarded in as little as 5 business days. I've seen that already, so it is working, and there are forms and spreadsheets that need to be done, but we can do it in 5 days. So we call it expedited underwriting and enrollment. So individual medical questionnaires, or IMQs, are no longer needed. For groups with 5 to 50 enrolled, we still require IMQs, and I'll talk more a little later on what the options you have for the smaller groups. So it enables Trustmark to quote larger groups quicker once all requirements are received. It creates options for you, the agent, to go after the larger groups. So how does it work? So we use de-identified data, which turns that data into a risk score for the entire group. Patient data has been stripped of all de-identifiers, direct identifiers. So we don't know anything about any individual. We just get so we use a Millman GRX software program to produce an overall rating score. Since it uses that de-identified data, there's no need to get HIPAA authorization and Social Security numbers at the time. And the score that we get is based on the entire group, and we receive nothing about what individuals are driving the score and the rate up. And it has a 90-day expiration, just like our individual medical questionnaires for the smaller groups. We will need Social Security numbers later if the group decides that they want to go with us, and we'll talk more about that. So it uses complete and current prescription history. So details include drug name, dosage, fill date, pharmacy, and physician information from the last 5 years. It's a way to get those final rates without those applications. The information is loaded into a program that uses predictive modeling based on national pharmacy data. It's something it's something different to offer to your client. And it brings that value of medical information to mid-sized group underwriting. We've done many, many surveys in the past with brokers and agents, and majority say, we want to work with Trustmark, we want to work with Trustmark, but they make that process a little too hard for the larger groups. So now, since we don't require the IMQs, we're seeing more and more brokers come to Trustmark. And let's look at the sales numbers. So for our first month, December 2019, we wrote 27 groups with this GRX underwriting, and the average size was 72 enrolled employees. In December of the previous year, we only wrote 5 cases in that segment. This is a 500% increase for December of this past year. It had 1,955 employee lives, $18.5 million in annualized premium. The average rate up was 27%. And of those 27, 12 of the groups used a multiple option. Either it was a CDHP, a reference-based pricing, a PPO. We can offer up to 4 different options for a group. Let's look at January. So the second month, in January, we wrote 58 groups with an average of 73 lives. And the previous January only had 20 groups. So again, about a 300% increase, 4,275 employee lives, $38.5 million in annualized premium. The average rate up was 24%, and 26, almost half the groups requested and were sold a multiple option plan. So here are some of the top states that we've written so far in. PA is our #1 state. The average size group is 86 lives. We're selling in Missouri, Indiana, Nebraska, Ohio, New Jersey. This product, by the way, is available in 45 states. It is not available in Washington, New York, Vermont, North Dakota, or Hawaii. And like I mentioned about the products, so we sold 52% of all the groups that we sold wanted a multiple option plan. And then 25% was a CDHP plan, 16% PPO, and 7% wanted a reference-based pricing. These are standalone. So the last 3 bullets are standalone. And then the first one was up to 4 plans we offer. So let's talk a little bit about submission. And again, this is a high level, and of course, contact your INA benefit specialist. They've sold these cases with us already, and they are more than experienced in submitting the proper forms to Trustmark. So first of all, the first thing we need is a member level census, and I'll show you an example of that. And then a submission form. It's similar to what our contingent offer form is for the smaller group, if you're familiar with that. It just has a little more detail. We require you to run a base rate proposal. We want you to match the current plan as close as possible. The proposal must have first and last names. We want you to compare Trustmark's base rates with the carriers, the current client's renewal rates. Are we competitive? My rule of thumb is we should be at least 10 to 15% lower than renewal. Now, naturally, if you run our base rates and you look at their renewal rates, and if our base rates are higher, then we're not competitive. This is not a good candidate for GRX. We require the current plan design, current renewal and current and renewal rates, and we have a risk form that needs to be completed, and then we ask for the latest invoice or billing statement. Again, your INA employee benefit specialist will help you navigate through the entire process.
And just to reiterate too, Giorgio, every single one of my guys have written one of these plans already, since this has come out. I mean, it's been widely accepted, and we've had good success with this, and they will all walk you through. So what you're seeing today, folks, if this interests you, like I say, they'll walk you through step by step of what you need.
Yeah, they have firsthand experience on this. So each one has at least sold one case with us, and they know the whole process and the time frames and everything. Good point, Mike. Thank you. So some other requirements: original proposal. Don't include waivers. So make sure that the submission is for those that are actually going to take the plan. No waivers. Anybody in a waiting period that is not going to elect the coverage. So we want to get a true feeling of who actually is going to be on this plan. That's important. We're going to take a look at a member level census, but that has to be as accurate as possible. So try to avoid any nicknames. We require home zip codes for every employee and dependent listed on the census. There's occasion where a dependent is not living with the member. We need to know the exact zip code of that dependent. Any fields that are left blank will be rejected. And again, the INA guys know all about this. Current plan design, try to match the current plan design as close as possible with our options. And if you've been working with Trustmark with our PPOs and CDHPs, we have a lot of options. It's a huge drop-down box, and we have a number of deductibles, co-insurances, doctor co-pays, RX cards. So I'm pretty confident that we can match as close as possible their current plan. If the group has an HMO or a MEC plan, probably not a good fit for us. And then again, if they're going to do a multiple option plan, make sure that they check the multiple option box. And then rates. Again, I can't express this enough that we want to compare our rates with their renewal rates to make sure that we are competitive before we go through this process. So here's what the member dependent level census looks like. So we need the last name, first name. This is of everyone including dependent. Their home zip code, birth date, gender. It could be male or female or M or F. The contract tier, which is 0 for dependent, 1 for employee, and the member type, employee, spouse, and child. Again, legal names, no middle names, no nicknames. So Tony, it could be Antonio, Anthony, or Anton, Beth, Bree, Chris. Again, home zip codes. And again, multiple locations. If the group has more than 5 work locations, contact your INA rep and they know how to submit that to Trustmark to get that multiple location census run for us. This is the submission form, very similar to what the contingent offer form is. This is on our website and it's a fillable PDF, so we make it pretty easy. This is the risk form. So we ask if you know of any conditions out there that might not appear when we do a GRX. Also, we just added a COVID-19 question there. So this needs to be completed and sent in with your initial submission. So who's eligible? So all competitive groups with 51 to 99 enrolled lives. There's some exceptions for over 99. There are some drop-offs, of course, after the rate-up. And if the group comes in at 60 employees taking the plan, and then at final enrollment, it's down to 45, we're okay with that. We can go as low as 42. So just so you know that. Eligible ads, anyone who didn't go through the GRX process but was eligible, there's a possibility that we would underwrite them. So talk to your INA rep on that. And then rate up. Again, like I said, when we do this, the rate is based on the entire group. So we don't know anything about any individuals who are driving the score or rate up. So if you remove some employees after the rate up, it will not change. So again, do your best not to include those that might be waiving. They can complete a paper application later. So if the group is submitted and it comes back with a good score and you want to take the next step and go through the offer, we need an employee enrollment template and acknowledgement form. They must be submitted together. I have a sample of that. An employee dependent waiver template, and then the standard employer application. So here's what the employee enrollment template looks like. So because we're not collecting applications will need information from each employee and dependent, like their home address, social security number, date of hire. Also, if you have multiple plans, up in this box here, you can list the plans, and then here, who's taking which plan. So then we can make sure that each person gets added to the correct plan. Waivers could be added on this if you see that it's waiving, but we ask that the waivers be added at the tail end of this form. So we want everyone in alphabetical order taking the plan, and then waivers at the back end if you so choose. And then we ask that a officer of the company sign this to acknowledge that the enrollment is correct. And again, this needs to be submitted at the same time of the enrollment template. If you decide to do the waiver template and not do the waivers on the enrollment template, then here's the waiver template. And then we have a separate form for the acknowledgement on that. But if you only do the enrollment template with the waivers, we just need one acknowledgement. I hope that's clear enough. And then this is our standard employer application, which includes the commission notice and also the authorization rep form, like who at the company will have authority to view claims or call our claim department to get access to their claims. So Trustmark has some very lenient participation requirements. If you've done business with us, you know that we make it pretty simple. So for all size groups, whether it's 51 plus or 5 plus, we require 75% of the eligible after valid waivers are removed. So example is you got 95 eligible full-timers, 10 have valid waivers, that's 85. We need 75% of that, or 63. So we need at least 63 for that to be eligible. We don't require an employer contribution to the employee cost. In the past, it used to be 50%. We don't require that at all. We do allow 1099s, but they cannot be more than 50% of the total enrolling. Carve-outs may be allowed, subject to discrimination rules. And then usually a wage and tax not required with us. So again, pretty simple participation requirements. So once a group has been submitted and gone through GRX, it's possible that at open enrollment then they lose a lot of employees or gain a lot of employees. It's possible that we will resubmit that through GRX. We've had that done with a couple cases with INA, and the results were about the same as when they went through the process earlier. So it has happened. We've seen this where the renewal has 30 employees, but your census and proposal has 75. We're just going to ask why the discrepancy, and it's usually because they've added a division, or the rates were so high with the other carrier that a lot of people didn't come on. Our rates are so much more competitive, they've added a lot more people. So we just need to know the reason why the discrepancy in the bill or the renewal and the proposal. Again, our base rate should be at least 10 to 15% better than the renewal. Multiple locations, verify work locations. Work with your INA guys on this, because it could come back to bite you if you have one location on the proposal and really they have 5 locations or 4. The cost of services throughout the country is totally different and more expensive or cheaper in certain areas. So we want to make sure we give you an accurate rate when you're doing the base rates, so there's no surprises. Again, don't include those if unsure of enrollment. If you don't think they're going to be taking the plan, don't include them in the GRX. Better off doing a paper application later or talking about it later. And then waivers, again, if they're new hires, but they're unsure of taking a plan, leave them off, and then let's look at it later. And then COBRA needs to be put on if they're on COBRA and they're going to continue to be on COBRA. Again, acknowledgement forms must be submitted together with the templates. Waivers can be included on the enrollment template, but at the tail end, don't mix them with the enrollees. So I mentioned 51 to 99, and we've had some larger groups go through this. And the reason a larger group might go through this is if qualified experience is not available, so the group is with a carrier that doesn't supply experience. They've increased in size recently. Merger of 2 or more companies that moved them from a 75 to 110 live group. So far, we've written 100 plus groups so far, and the largest one is 181. So talk to your INA rep if you have a case that's over 100 enrolled, that you know, there's a possibility that we could look at this through the GRX. But we're pretty set on the 51. You have to have no less than 51 enrolled. We won't go lower than that at the initial quote. So some non-eligible groups, if they have a high HMO enrollment, we're not competitive, of course. PEOs, professional employee organizations, are not allowed. And then some items that possibly change the underwriting rate. They got a high employee turnover, groups with potential large number of waivers. So we got to take care, you know, look at that and see, make sure that we got a qualified group. And at the time it goes through the GRX and the time it's submitted, we want to make sure we have as accurate of a enrollment as possible. And then, of course, if it doesn't meet size requirements, whether it's less than 51 or 100 plus, and there is experience available, we will do an experience rated quote. We won't do a GRX quote. So I talked a little bit about underwriting options. So we do, you know, write a lot of 5 to 50 life groups, and INA writes a lot with us. And we have several options for underwriting those groups. We have our standard individual medical applications. We subscribe to Form, Fire, and Easy apps, so our individual medical questionnaires are populated on those applications. We can do other approved carrier applications. The guys at INA have a list of those. We have an amendment that has to be completed by each employee signed before the underwriter will look at those other carrier applications. And then we have a thing called Express Connect, which is a telephone and online enrollment. And basically, it's quick, convenient, secure. It's a paperless employee enrollment. In these times now, this is a very popular option for us. We just give the employer a form that they pass out to the employees. It has a phone number on it. It has a unique ID. They call. They read the paperwork. They call us. It's about a 10-minute interview. They go through their whole individual medical questionnaire online or over the phone. So it gives you more time for selling, servicing, staying in touch with your clients, and then you know, no distribution or collection of paper employee enrollment forms. And then every day we supply the INA guys with a list of who has called in, so they can keep track and keep tabs with their broker and the administrator on who has called in and try to track down those who haven't called in. So this works really well, and it's working so much better now with all this situation that's going on now.
Certainly much more popular today than it has been, and people love it. Yeah, they do. And they're talking to a live person in our Boardman, Ohio claims office. So, you know, they're taking notes and filling out the IMQ while they're talking, and it gets you a more accurate
idea of the medical conditions because, you know, as you know, when you're doing paper applications, there's handwriting that you can't read, there's information missed, there's vague information. With the Express Connect telephone option, there isn't that because the customer service rep is asking all of those questions and completing it and populating it on a form. So yes, very, very popular now, especially. So if you worked with Trustmark, you know about this, but you know, exceptional customer service. You get a dedicated account manager, and each account manager has been at least with Trustmark for 10 to 15 years. You get online access to self-service capabilities, resources, benefit information for employers and covered members. And there's a lot of tools out there to educate members on how to navigate their healthcare benefits with cost-saving tips. A lot of flyers out there that we gear towards brokers, employers, and employees. Wrap up. So our rates must be competitive. We get an additional underwriting cost when we submit this to that vendor. So we want to make sure that we're selective in the groups that we send over there, that we have a chance of winning that case. Again, if our base rates are higher than the renewal rates, no sense in putting this through. We're going to scrub scrub it prior to submission. We want to make sure that everything is there before we submit it to our vendor. Again, we require current plan design, current and renewal rates, latest invoice, and that risk form along with that simplified underwriting form. Please take extra time to review the submission before sending it for consideration. A quick call to your INA guys prior to submission helps immensely. Again, each one of them has gone through this process and sold a case, so they are experienced. They can help you out. I mentioned Washington. That's one state that has a very long tail on filing. We filed this probably 8-10 months ago, and we still haven't heard, and I don't foresee us having Washington in 2020, probably 2021. And then if you go on our Trustmark Small Business Benefits website, we have all of the updated forms out there. So please use always the most updated form.
And if you're going through the INA, you know, sales rep, you know, they're going to get you the right forms.
So Mike, any questions come up?
So one person asked a question. You said something about, you know, you go with 51, but if you lose some, you know, the rates stay the same, but so they can lose a couple of people at the actual enrollment. I mean, maybe they had 52 when they ran it, but they fall down. They can fall below that number.
Yes, they can go as low as, I believe, 42 or 41. I'll have to double check that.
Okay, and then rate doesn't change, if I understood you correctly. And then if they have some extra people that they weren't counting on, then we're going to actually need them to do application, correct?
There's a possibility that we would require applications. Yes, it's on a case-by-case basis.
Okay. And then anything special about, like, I didn't see anything about virgin groups, like say there were somebody who's never had coverage before. Is that a possibility?
No, we're at this time, we're not allowing virgin groups because there's not enough data out there, whether it's prescriptions being filled, because a lot of those people might not have had coverage, so they didn't fill prescriptions. So at this time, we've decided to not offer virgin groups this product, but they can go through individual medical questionnaires or the Express Connect telephone online. But as far as GRX underwriting, no, we will not allow virgin groups.
Okay, cool. Well, if you'd be so kind as to let me be the presenter, I got just a couple of things and we'll wrap this thing up. And
sure.
Thank you again for your time.
Sure. let's see. Let's see. All right, so how do I, sharing?
Click on make another attendee a presenter and give it back to me.
Got it. All right. I think it's coming over to you now.
There we go. Let's see if I get this thing slideshow from the beginning. So once again, one of the things INA really likes to promote is that we're here to help you be successful as an agent. One of the things we'd like to do is just thank you for coming to this and offer up this sales tool to you. In order to help you prospect for new groups, and thank you for attending. We and I are offering the sales tool, and we can it can be customized to you, and it can be printed, handed out, or emailed. Now, I know it's a little small on your screen, but this is actual stats I took for all of our partners that offer some sort of a self-funding program. So again, I know it's a little small on the screen, but what it basically states is 67% of all self-funded groups get some kind of a refund. And groups 2 to 100 average a refund of approximately $13,000, and groups over 100 average $42,000. So it's a great little tool, yours for free, just for the asking and for being here. Also, HR 360, we partnered with them, and they're an online library of help for you and your groups. As agents, you are being asked to know so much more than just the benefits of the plan that you sold the group. And the reality is HR 360 can help you with all those other questions that you get answered. With federal compliance issues like COBRA, HIPAA, FMLA, they cover state-specific questions like continuation of benefits or minimum wage questions. They have hundreds of forms. There's sample policies on there. You can create a custom employee handbook, and there's just so much more. If you will send us a quote, we will set you up with a 90-day subscription to HR 360. And if you happen to write a group during that time frame, we will actually extend your subscription out an additional 9 months. Just to let you know, this is something that you can actually get. We have something called a Pinnacle Producers Program. You attain that, you would get one of these permanently, and also any group that you write through INA would then have that access to their own version of this as well. Now, just to let you know, we can help you in many different areas, and here's just a short list. In many cases, we have multiple carrier options. So, we will be looking for the best fit for you and your client. We're not going to try and pound square pegs into round holes. So, everything from, as you can see, medical, dental, life, disability, and worksite, and there's more. But send us a quote on any of these, that will work. Now, for those of you that like to travel and like being rewarded for doing a little extra, we offer our top producers trip. In January, we'll be going to the Cayman Islands for 5 days, and it is a chance to relax, make new friends, and hang out with other top producers and learn what they are doing to be successful. You can qualify for this trip with as few as 100 medical lives in 3 groups. And credit is earned by selling other products, just major medical, the dental, ancillary products qualify as well. Ask for a brochure to get all the details. It'll tell you exactly what points are assigned to every product. Now, and I'd love to get to see you there. And frankly, a sandy beach sounds pretty good right about now versus being locked up in my office at home. So there's this as well you can get. So again, I want to thank you for attending today. And again, for the sales tool, or to get an illustration, or learn more about HR 360 or our Cayman Island trip in 2021, just contact your employee benefits specialist. If you don't have a contact, you could choose one from below and just call us and they'll get you set up. And I just want to let you know, all of my team are fantastic. As a group, they average 19 years of industry experience. So we really know the pain and suffering you guys go through from day to day. We know what it takes to be successful, and you'll enjoy the trip. So anyway, I'll leave this up for the next 5 minutes. I want to thank you all. This concludes our webinar. Thank you so much for attending.
Thanks, Mike. We will talk later.
You bet. Thanks, George.